Donald Trump makes a 4th of July Independence Day speech in front of Mount Rushmore. Also, Hong Kong is completely fucked right now. And finally, Prince Harry has gone woke. I'm Johnny Massacre, and welcome to the Johnny Massacre Show. So Donald Trump made a speech in front of Mount Rushmore. The speech moved me to tears because he called out social justice. He also said, we will not kneel before anyone except God. And that really sums up how I feel about the whole Black Lives Matter movement. If you've been watching my previous shows, you know that I have revealed Black Lives Matter, the cult, the movement, and the philosophical statement Black Lives Matter are not one and the same, but leftists are conflating both of those in order to antagonize and bully people into being assimilated into their democratic Trojan horse to get Joe Biden elected. And so it was great to see Donald Trump call all this stuff out. Make sure you go onto YouTube and check out Donald Trump's speech. It shows me that his team that are crafting his speeches and his re-election campaign is actually finally starting to realize what is going on, and he's not kowtowing to the mob. Expect the leftist media to go crazy over this and say, Donald Trump's a racist, he said he won't kneel. He's right, nobody should kneel. No human should kneel before any other human, in my opinion. You should only kneel before the great creator, although I'm not religious, but he has a point there. No man should kneel before another man. Only socialist countries do that, right? Where socialist countries, communist countries, which is what Black Lives Matter is trying to turn America into, because its co-founder is a Marxist, a trained Marxist, are trying to turn countries into a secular communist place. And in those places, everyone kneels before the deity, such as North Korea, where they kneel before Kim Jong-un. They kneel before the statues of the North Korean forefathers. And no one should kneel for that shit. So I really like that. That made me... I actually started crying when Donald Trump said, they want to silence us, but we will not be silenced. And that was the outpouring of emotion, because I think I'm a nice man. I think I'm a good person. I think it's horrible to speak the truth and want good things, genuinely want good things for people and want everyone to be happy, and be pilloried and chastised and attacked for that. And so to hear someone on a world stage in front of tens of millions call out that evil gaslighting that the leftist media is perpetrating felt really, really fucking good. So I'm not American, I'm British, but I really, really think America and its ideals and its constitution is the thing that brought the world out of the dark ages, brought freedom to the world, brought the world out of poverty, everyone feeding from the free market capitalist trough, which is far from perfect, but is way better than any of the alternatives. And that was great. Of course, everyone's attacking him. People are attacking Mount Rushmore. The New York Times tweeted about how Mount Rushmore became Mount Rushmore, and they linked it to the KKK and the slaughter of the Native American tribes that originally resided there, when as many as 20% of colonial New Yorkers were enslaved Africans. So by that logic, the New York Times has to destroy themselves and destroy the city in which they are based. Also, the Lakota tribe that apparently Americans got rid of in order to carve Mount Rushmore, they gained that land in 1775, and it was expropriated by another tribe. And in turn, that land was expropriated by another tribe. And so what I'm saying is that human existence is woven into conflict. Conflict is baked into the cake. Without conflict, we wouldn't even exist. Humans have been tribal since day dot, and that's how we thrived as a species, by collaborating as tribes, and conflict is part of that. And unfortunately, slavery is one of humankind's most deeply rooted institutions. Anthropologists find evidence of it in nearly every continent and culture dating back to Neolithic periods. And so therefore, we are all guilty to some extent if we go back far enough. And I just think cancel culture will not solve anything, and it's really destructive. So I wanted to mention that. In other news, Hong Kong is really, really fucked now. Hong Kong is in a bad, bad way, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about that. So in Hong Kong, I think on the 1st of July, they just passed a national security law. And since that law has been passed, Hong Kong is exponentially spiraling into the hellhole of socialism and communism. And I'm going to read you a little bit about what the hell is going on over there. So the law, the Hong Kong security law, destroys Hong Kongers' freedoms and autonomy. It destroys the one country, two systems rule. The UK handed back Hong Kong to China under the agreement that there would be two systems, which is the Western free market one and the Chinese system. But China's basically destroyed that with this new law. 300 people have already been arrested since 1st of July, 9 of which at least under the new Hong Kong security law. And pepper spray, tear gas and police brutality were used to combat the protesters. And this pisses me off because right now everyone's whining about social justice and how Donald Trump's a white supremacist and how Donald Trump's a fascist, when in states up and down America, the state governors and mayors are allowing people to set up autonomous zones in their own cities, tear down statues, burn shit and kill people. And that's the fascist system. Whereas in China, if you just assemble peacefully, you can get life imprisonment now for subversion. That's real systemic police brutality. That's what it really looks like. So it makes me disgusted at how all these privileged, hypocritical wankers are acting right now in the West when they really don't have any severe problems at all, a lot of them, who are crowing about how bad everything is. So there are 4 parts to this security law, which are succession, subverting state power, terrorism, and colluding with foreign forces to endanger national security. On paper, these are fine. For example, terrorism. Do you want terrorism in your country? No. So you want a law to combat it. Subversion. You want people to subvert democracy? No. You want to have democracy. So these things are good on paper. But the Chinese Communist Party's definition of terrorism can include peaceful protesters. Subversion can include any criticism of the regime. So China will just use these broad laws to just persecute anyone who criticizes their regime. And colluding with enemies, that law is really interesting because it means Hong Kong residents can be arrested just for speaking to journalists. So if you're a Hong Kong resident and I have you on this show and you tell me what's going on there, you can get life in prison for that, for colluding with me, the enemy. And the Orwellian named Article 38, which is part of the new Hong Kong security law, applies not just to Hong Kongers, but to you and to me, people outside of Hong Kong. So in theory, me in Japan, this very conversation we're having now could be a criminal offense under this law. Welcome to socialism. This comes from socialism. This comes from Maoism. This comes from China, which comes from Marxism. And guess what? As I said earlier, the co-founder of Black Lives Matter is a Marxist. Go and look it up. She says she's not just a Marxist, but she's a trained Marxist. And this is what Black Lives Matter, the cult, not the philosophical statement, don't get it conflated, are trying to do in the United States. You can see the parallels between the Maoist uprising, where they tore down statues, just like Mao did, the revisionist history of China, just like Mao did, the censorship of movies, books and games, just like Mao did, and all of this shit going on right now in America today for no fucking reason at all other than to subvert democracy and get rid of Donald Trump. So that's really bad. That really upset me. And I was watching a YouTube video about this, about how China's taking over. It's already encroaching into the West. People are kowtowing to them. America entrusts China to make at least 50% up to 80% of their medicine in collaboration with India as well, and America censoring movies for the Chinese market, and Chinese tendrils, communist, socialist, Maoist, Marxist tendrils are getting into our culture, especially with the new digital online world, relatively new world. And in light of this, while I was watching a video detailing all of that stuff, a video came up promoting TikTok, which is the Chinese app that I'm sure you know, that takes all your data from Westerners and will relay it to the Communist Party. China is coming for you. It starts at Hong Kong. Next will be Taiwan. And next will be you. So we need to stop kowtowing to the Chinese Communist Party. And finally for today, Prince Harry's woke. So Prince Harry, member of the royal family, ex-member of the royal family since he abdicated. he came out and he was denouncing institutional racism and saying we all have to band together to fight racism. You can go find the video online, go and have a look it up. Prince Harry, his eyes are so fucking close together. He is halfway down the devolutionary chain to becoming a Cyclops. Other than that, he's pussy whipped. So his bird, Meghan Markle, as soon as she appeared, he left the royal family, he fucked off to America, and he got all woke. Prince Harry, he wore a Nazi uniform to a Halloween party before. There's a video of him online when he's in the military, in his coddled military position, where he calls a guy from Pakistani the P word. So I mean, fuck, this guy is now coming out and lecturing us about racism and institutional racism. And I think he appeared on a video doing it, and it looks like a hostage video. You know those videos where Afghani terrorists will get someone in a jumpsuit to kneel on the floor and say a load of crap they don't believe in, which is just ideological crap their abductors tell them to say. That's what Prince Harry looks like when he's saying this shit under the instruction of his woke wife, Meghan, whatever her name is, Markle. And the irony is, Prince Harry is the institution. He comes from a family that pioneered colonialism, and now he's telling people not to be racist and about institutional racism. So that really kind of pissed me off. And Meghan Markle, I found pictures of her wearing a $265,000 wedding dress by Givenchy, a $150,000 dress by Stella McCartney. And it turns out Stella McCartney is ranked one of the lowest in the world for apparel companies in regards to forced labor, human trafficking, and systemic shit. So if Meghan Markle is so anti-racism, why is she married to a family that wrote the book on colonialism and the destructive of native lands? Why did she spend 2.4 million of UK taxpayer money on renovating her house in the UK? Why did she have a baby shower in New York and transported people with private jets if she's such a lefty and pro-climate change? They represent everything regarding privilege. They're made for each other, Harry and Meghan. They're guilty hypocrites, virtue signaling for their own narcissism and self-image. And I just wish they'd kindly fuck off. The moral of the story today is social justice is cancer. It's a weapon in censorship. And it's the bedrock of all fascist movements. It's mobilizing people with no leader into a tribal group to censor, attack, and tear down tent poles of society under the guise of morality. And in the same way that social justice has killed movies and games you enjoy, my favorites, including Star Wars, it's now come to the royal family, and next, it will be coming for you. First it's Hong Kong, next it's Taiwan, then it's you. First it's your music, then it's your favorite games, next is going to be you. So whenever you see social justice, stay the hell away. And that's about all for today in my political rant. I'll tell you what, mate, you better be back for the next video. Otherwise, I'll be coming around your house. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because that is what all those other cunts tell you to do. Laters.